Hey, the other day I was over at a buddy of mine's house and we were talking like a lot of people do. You talk about work and corporations and white-collar workers, blue-collar workers, and, where I've been blue-collar all my life, he's white-collar, and we're chatting. Next thing you know, his 8-year-old daughter gets involved in the conversation. 8. And I remember looking right at her and I said, "What you going to do? You're going to join a union, aren't you?" She stopped as if I used a bad word. And she says, "No, I would never join a union." And it made me think, and I kind of felt bad because I've belonged to a union since the 80s. A couple different unions, as a matter of fact. One worked, one didn't. So I asked myself if I believe in unions. Yes, I do. I believe in unions if they work. If they're there to do what they're supposed to be doing. If they're there to back up, its members. Number one priority, you back your members up. The members who voted you in office and the members who agreed to the terms and conditions of the contract. You back them up. And number two, you got to back up the contract. There's usually some kind of contract that the companies agree on, the union agree on, they let the members vote on it, and then you back it up. If you do those things and back them up, I believe in it 100%. If you don't, in my situation, it wasn't even close. We technically were union on paper, but there was never anything backed up. Members, matter of fact, the company would say, go file a grievance, you asshole. I mean, that's how they would speak to you. And they would say, go file a grievance. Go. We'll give you the grievance paper. They're not going to do anything about it. And they were right, because you'd go call the union. Nothing would get done about it. They could do that. That's okay. I remember one day when a supervisor called an employee, "You effing cockhead." C-O-C-K, you effing cockhead. I looked at him and said, "You can't talk to him that way." He says, "Yes, I can," and I did. I mean, there are laws out there. Never mind the little handshaking agreement the company and the union had. I mean, you just don't talk to people like that. That's just the way it is. What the union do about it? Exactly what I just did. Turned my head. So when you have unions like that, we don't need them. It's bad. There is zero, when I was here, representation of me. I'd write a grievance, and I remember the last grievance I wrote. We were in the office. I wanted to be paid for a certain thing. The union rep ripped up my grievance, threw it in the garbage, and said, "They can do that." And I remember laughing right there. And that's when I knew. I already knew, they, were in the best interest of the company. But that's when I knew, wow, there is nothing having to do with the union here. Nothing. And that is when unions aren't good. And that's one of the reasons why unions of today have bad raps. And I feel bad because I believe in unions. In today's day, the way these people treat you and things like that, yeah, I'd like a union. I mean, if you didn't have one, you'd be making $3 an hour, no matter probably where you worked. So I do believe in them if you do things the right way. In my situation, in one of the unions that I was working for, didn't even exist. You were part of a union by contract, but nothing that, in my opinion, that I saw was backed by our union, and it was sad. It saddened me. I used to write grievances all the time. I went to a printing company, had 500 made, and I would write grievances. Nope, they could do that. And I had a union book, and I would say, "It says it right here." Nope, they could do that. Matter of fact, in some places it said it in 3 different spots. Nope, they could do that. So when you have things like that, you've lost the trust. You're dishonest, you're not looking after the best interests of the member, that's when You know, that's what gives them a bad name. And I'm saddened that the unions of today have bad names. But I know there's strong ones out there. I know there are. I have some buddies that always tell me, Brian, if that happened in our building, shit would hit the fan. And then he always says, if it did. Because he always says, Brian, it never would happen in here. Never. Those are the unions I want back. And those are the unions that people want backing them up. So, thanks a lot for tuning in today to... What? Are you kidding me?